Okay, well, welcome to our second session. This is more of the ministry orientation regarding the mission trip ministry here. So we're going to talk a little bit here about some of the differences, and we're going to talk about now more of the ministry. So this is going to be more practical in a sense, okay? The first part was more theoretical, more knowledge content, more understanding content. This is going to be a little bit more practical content. So the first thing we want to talk about are some of the dress code differences. Now I'm certain that your leaders have already talked with you some about this, but it's the dress code where we find some of our greatest challenges, okay, as far as pastors' concerns and things of that nature. You have to understand that Mexico is far, far more conservative than the U.S. is. Now, as I said, the U.S. has undergone huge revolutionary changes in the last 40 or so years, so dress is a lot different now. I don't know if you watched any movies out of the 50s lately, but all the ladies wear skirts and the guys wear nice coats or ties or stuff like that. They just dressed up a lot more then. Anyway, Mexico has retained its modesty and its conservative factors more so than the U.S. So, and I should say the indigenous side is really extra sensitive to dress code, okay? So, and we're working more with the indigenous people. So we're going to ask a couple favors of you this week, all right? Our intention is not for you to feel bad or for you to feel singled out or whatever. We're just talking about the reality that in order to have good maximum impact here and take into account their culture, we need to make some adjustments. So we really appreciate the adjustments that you're going to make. And I do want to say this humbly that we work with about 75 or so churches in the valley. There's about 150 or so, but about 75 meet our criteria for churches that we would send a mission team to. And they all rejoice in the fact that they know if they're getting a mission team from our ministry, they know that they will have been oriented. They're going to honor their culture and honor them. So we really appreciate the sacrifices that you're making, not only for us, but also for our Lord Jesus Christ. So we really appreciate some of these sacrifices that you'll be making. So we'll talk to the ladies first, because you ladies are just so precious and you're so pretty and you just are so attractive. So anyway, we'll talk to you first. Ladies, and we're going to talk first about the different outreaches, okay? We're going to talk first about the church outreaches. So we're going to talk in the dress code about the church outreaches and about the other outreach as well. So this is church, okay? So we're going to walk through church. So ladies, for church, you'll need to wear your skirts that are below the knees when sitting, okay? So that's your standard. When you're sitting, you want your skirt to be below your knees. Gals, no sleeveless tops or questionable clothing. We want modesty. And we know you all have the loveliest tummies in the world, but this week, if you're lifting your arms or anything, we just won't be able to see your lovely tummies. Also, jewelry, more is or less is more, so you don't need to go all decked out in your big African loop-de-doopers and all that. You can wear, small jewelry, but it's the big stuff that the kids kind of want to look at, and they think, man, can you give that to me? And you think they just want to see it, and now you want it back, and it's just... So anyway, you can wear your watches, your rings, but just avoid big stuff and sometimes big necklaces or stuff like that calls out their attention. Ladies, for your work, VBS, and prayer outreaches, these will be your dress code standards for your work, VBS, and prayer outreaches, all right? So you can wear pants or capris. Now, I should say that all of you are going to be working more with indigenous churches. Canyon Ridge, you're going to be more indigenous. And Lyle's team here on the east side is going to be more indigenous. The west side is going to be just a little bit less, but you're still going to have indigenous. We've made some modifications this year. We really are monitoring the culture, and when we feel like we can make some dress code changes, we do to make it easier for you guys. We just made the switch from for the prayer outreaches and your evangelism outreaches. We've just made the switch for ladies that you don't have to wear skirts, although we're still kind of a little in limbo. So if you wanted to wear your skirts, you're welcome to do so. If you want to wear your pants, you're welcome to do that. Anyway, that's kind of the only area, but you can wear pants if you like. So for all these other items, work, VBS, prayer, you can wear pants or capris. No shorts, please. Sandals are not recommended because the streets often have junk in them and sewer and dog droppings and just all kinds of stuff. So also no sleeveless tops or questionable clothing. Once again, no tummies showing if lifted. Okay? So that's the dress code for the ladies. Any questions for ladies on dress code? Okay, I'm sure you've all been oriented as well. Okay, for the guys, guys get a little bit easier pass because guys are just good old boys and just not as pretty as the ladies. They're handsome in their own way, but not quite as attractive as the ladies. So anyway, so guys, for all of your activities outside the mission base, this is outside the mission base, this is everything. Pants are fine. No tank tops though or sleeveless shirts. No shorts. No earrings or hats in church. Okay? So, any questions for guys on dress? What we want to discourage is any extreme clothing. Okay? So if you can stay away from extreme clothing, extremely baggy pants, holy pants, not H-O-L-Y, but you know, ones that have holes in them. We know you're all wearing holy pants. Anyway, if you can avoid the extremes, we appreciate that. Okay, dress code for everyone. You ready for everyone? Dress code. No sunglasses except for your work projects, or if you're out visiting, you can. We understand you're accustomed to wearing sunglasses in the States. They are not down here. Few people wear sunglasses down here. So when you're in a conversation with anybody, even if you're wearing your sunglasses at a work project, whenever you engage in any conversation with anybody, please take your sunglasses off because it's kind of like the Darth Vader, you know, who's in there and what's going on. So your eyes are the window to your soul, so if you can do that. Also, no gang-related type dress, so especially guys, bandanas. I'm sorry, ladies can wear bandanas, but guys can't. All right? So guys get a little bit harsher treatment there. No body piercings. If you have a body piercing, if you would be so kind as to take it out or cover it up, please. Once again, we know that that's a hardship for some of you, but we're all slaves, so we really appreciate your sacrifices. No shorts outside the base except for your free time. That's not related to ministry or work. And once again, no exotic pants, holes, and stuff like that. And if you have any tattoos, if you would cover those up, we really appreciate that. Now, there's one thing that you don't want to be down here, and guess what that is? You don't want to be a cholo. Does anyone know what a cholo is? Okay, it's kind of a little gangster type person, all right? You don't want to be a cholo. Cholos wear these kind of things down here. Okay, so you don't want to be identified with that, or otherwise you'll jeopardize your testimony. So we appreciate those sacrifices. Any questions on these areas? And leaders, if you would just help us to make sure that these are followed. Once again, we really appreciate your dress code sensitivity. Who can tell me? Okay, we got a question. No, ladies no, they don't. For ladies, body piercings don't include your ears. So you can have your earrings. For guys, they can't wear earrings. Okay? Good question. Okay, another question? I'm sorry? Well, if you have a hole, then yeah, you have a hole. That's all right. But just if you wouldn't wear your earring. Okay, we'll talk afterwards, all right? I can't quite see what you got there. But yeah, we appreciate your sacrifices. Once again, we know that standards are different in the States. But like I say, down here, there's just different standards. They have a different way of looking at stuff. And so what we don't want to do is to harm our testimonies before them. So, okay, just a couple things you might want to be sensitive about. Some things down here that are considered sinful or very questionable. Okay? Drinking alcohol. In this culture, the fear of every woman virtually is that her husband would be an alcoholic because there are so many alcoholics down here in Mexico. Okay? The indigenous culture, like even in the States, never had alcohol until it was introduced by the white man, and they just have had a hard time learning how to deal with it. So drinking alcohol is considered either very questionable or even sinful. Smoking is considered sinful by Christians, okay? So please don't light up in front of any of the Mexicans this week. Had that happen a year ago. This guy here, bless his heart, just recently saved, heart of gold. But anyway, he came back from the evangelism and he was all smoking and just life was great. So anyway, for him it was. We had to quickly address that. So anyway, smoking, even going to a movie cinema can be considered questionable. Okay, so if you've just celebrated some great event, some significant event, and just avoid in your testimonies or whatever, yeah, my wife and I, or my fiance and I went out and we had ate a nice dinner, had a nice glass of wine, went and watched a movie and stuff. It's like, for them, it's like, red flags going up. So anyway, these things you might want to avoid in your conversations. Alrighty. So once again, we appreciate your sacrifices in these areas. I have to say this, I just say it just for what it's worth, because you guys are all wonderful people. But in a lot of my relationships down here, you would understand that I can't have as deep of relationships down here or as open as relationships as I can with people in my own culture, because I have to just be sensitive about some of these different things. So anyway. Okay, some social differences. Oh, and I should mention once again, in the 1800s, there was a significant missionary who was different than most of the others. Can anyone tell me what his name was, who really tried hard to honor the culture, and their dress especially? Starts with an H, his first name. His last name ends with a T. Hudson Taylor. Okay, Hudson Taylor had Inland China Missions, and he was a missionary in China. He almost got fired from his mission board because they wanted him to dress like Americans dress, or like England dress. And he said, no, I'm going to dress like the culture I'm going into. So he did. His mission organization is thriving today. His mission board is not, obviously. Anyway, there are some differences. So there's some social differences we want to talk about. In this culture, your social etiquette is very, very important. Very, very important. And so some things you want to pay careful attention to here. You want to make sure that you greet people, so your greetings are important. Your goodbyes are important. When a person sneezes, you'll want to try, if you can, to say salud, if you can say some Spanish. Some hand motions in Mexico, down here in our area. If I want Kyle, our awesome leader from Canyon Ridge, if I want Kyle to come up front here, I will go like this. But in Mexico, if I go like this, that doesn't mean, Kyle, I want you to come up here. It means I want you to go beyond me to someone out over there. If I want you to come here, I go like this. Okay, can you all do this? And this will be especially useful in your VBSs and stuff when you want your children to come to you. Just go like this. Okay? So, your greetings are very important. So I need a volunteer who is approximately my size and of the same sex. Are you going to do it again? All right. Can you guys all hear me fine? I'm going to talk extra loud, but I got to stand up. So greetings are very important. So how do we greet in Mexico? We all greet one another, everyone across all lines of sex, with a handshake. So we all shake everyone's hands, and we are generous with our handshaking, okay? That communicates you're important. I respect you, okay? So everyone does a handshake. Now there's a couple other things that you can do, maybe you'll do later on in the week, but there is what we call the abrazo, okay? Abrazo, that's the hug. And so for the guys with the guys, it might be, and guys, it can do this with guys, but don't do it with the girls until maybe later on. We'll distinguish that. So how does the abrazo start? We have a handshake, go to the right, couple pats on the back, and we end with a handshake. Have you guys noticed? A lot of you, I just have gotten in the habit of doing this, so I always start with a handshake, and I'm always wanting to shake your hand afterwards. You guys are wondering, get your hand out of here. I've already shaken your hand. Okay, so that's the abrazo, handshake, okay? And if you don't get it perfect, that's all right. Okay, the beso, that's for the ladies with the ladies. We're going to become girls now, but we're not going to kiss each other. Okay, you just touch cheeks, but you don't, and just go. So it goes like this, handshake, you go to the right, touch cheeks, and just go Okay? And then you can, so anyway, hand for our valiant young man here. Okay, so once again, be generous with your handshakes. And so like this afternoon when you get to your churches, the first thing that you'll do, where you get anywhere, the first thing you're going to do is greet the people. And understand this, there's an important thing you need to understand in your social etiquette. You want to be bien educado. You want to have good social etiquette. The first thing that you'll want to do anywhere is greet the people. And then you can look at your work projects, get set up, all these things. So it's important for you to do that. Also, I should mention, if you are greeting somebody that you don't know yet and you're sitting down, it's always important for you to stand up to show respect, to greet them. So if you're a young person and an adult comes over, you would stand up to greet them. Even if you're of the same age, you would stand up. In fact, I had a pastor in my office a number of years ago when Logan was just like 11 or 12, about half the size he is now. And the pastor came in, had not met Logan yet. Pastor was seated in my office, because I always have a pre-talk with all the pastors before we send them teams and everything. Logan came in, and that pastor stood up to greet Logan. I thought, wow, bien educado. Good etiquette. I was impressed. So anyway, just understand there's ways in Mexico where you show your respect, which is very important. This culture places a high value on respect. You respect your elders. Everyone knows their pecking order, and you respect that order. And for things to get out of order is inappropriate for them. So just understand the appropriateness of respect in your culture, in this culture down here. All right? So another thing that you're going to want to try, if you can learn 3 words in Spanish this week, these would be the 3 you'll want to learn. These are what you're going to say to your Mexican brothers and sisters in Christ. In fact, I don't even know a lot of my Mexican brothers and sisters in Christ by name, because you just always say, Dios le bendiga, Dios le bendiga. Okay, it's just always, God bless you. That's what that means, God bless you. So if you can learn to say Dios le bendiga in your greetings, now this would be with the believers. A lot of you are going to be working at the park where you have more of a public setting. In that case, you could just say hola. If you can't learn Dios le bendiga for your brothers and sisters, you can just say hola. If you can't say hola, just say aloha. No, don't say aloha. Do hola. Hola was the first word I learned in Spanish. Well, when I came to Mexico, I knew some Spanish. And 20 years ago, I knew 3 words. Taco, enchilada, and burrito. All right? Those are all Spanish. And my first word I had to learn, I got off this bus, and here's all these kids. I didn't know how to communicate with them. Was like, so I had to learn hola. Okay, so that was my first word, was hola. So if you can learn hola, that's a greeting. Okay, just hola. Now that, for saying goodbye, you would say like hasta luego. You can say hasta la vista, right? You guys all learned hasta la vista. Okay, until we see each other again. So anyway, you can do those. Anyway, just once again, be generous. But I also need to tell you this. Listen carefully. Because this valley is mainly indigenous, and the places you're going to be serving are mainly indigenous, you have to understand how the indigenous person thinks etiquettely, socially. The indigenous person is the lowest person on the rung of ladders or totem pole, whatever definition you want to use. They are the bottom class of people in Mexico. In fact, when the Spaniards immigrated, they set up what was called a caste system. That means a classification of people. The highest you could be was Spanish blood, then Spanish with part Mexican, then Spanish born in Mexico with Spanish born in Mexico. And anyway, there was all this tiers of classification of peoples. Talk about racism. Mega. Anyway, the bottom on the rung is the indigenous people. So the indigenous people have been abused and looked down upon their whole entire history from the time the Spaniards came over. So you're looking at 500 years of history. So a lot of times, because you, in their eyes, are upper class, in their eyes, you guys are royalty. Okay, you're royalty. And you're also from the most prominent country in the world. So they sometimes feel timid and humble and humiliated in your presence. So sometimes they will defer in not greeting you, in that it's your responsibility to greet them, because you're higher up and they're just humble peons, so to speak. So go out of your way this week to be humble servants, to go to their level like Christ, who being in the form of God, who thought that not something to be equal with God, something to be grasped, but lowered himself, became a servant, and even who died on the cross. So have the same attitude that Christ had, and serve the people, be humble, but go out of your way to greet them and have good etiquette with them. All right? And always give it a priority. Like I say, when you get to your churches and when you leave, don't just, like we Americans, unfortunately we in America have almost lost a lot of our etiquette, really, if you think about it. But down here they've retained it, so make sure you go out of your way to greet the people, especially when you get there, when you say goodbye. At the church services, greet the people. It just makes them feel really warm. In fact, I have one friend who left a church because his pastor was not greet him the way he thought he should. Okay, there's going to be some church differences down here. Down here in Mexico, they generally all pray at the same time. So if I ask Lyle to lead us in a word of prayer, Lyle prays, but you all pray in your hearts quietly, right? Well, in Mexico, generally, Lyle prays, but all of us pray in our language, but we're praying not real loud, but we're going along, praying along with. We're active in that, okay? So now that's really important when you're out in your home prayer, things like that. When you're praying for people in their homes, they're going to think, why aren't you praying for me? They're going to wonder if maybe you don't like them or have something against them or whatever. Pardon me. Also down here in Mexico, church is a lot louder down here in Mexico. Why is church a lot louder? Because we're not as trained and as polished as you guys are. In fact, the philosophy in Mexico is they really don't start training or raising their kids till they get about 12, 13, 14. They just kind of let them grow up by and large, okay? So the kids are kind of a little unruly. So there's going to be a low level of chaos taking place at your church and at your VBSs. That's okay. That's normal. We'll talk about it in a moment, but just please don't add to the chaos. And we'll talk about that in a moment. All right? The people are more expressive down here. They will go up in front of the churches more afterwards to be prayed for. To be prayed for down here is very important to them because they don't have a lot of hope in anything else. They don't have hope in their medical system. They don't have hope in the government. They don't have hope in the finances. So their last hope in many ways is God or their indigenous patron saints or their spirits and things like that. So anyway, they like to be prayed for. So they'll come up front a lot more to be prayed for. They also have the sense that church is more of a holy place like in the Old Testament. So how does that affect you? Before church is starting, you might be having a good time and laughing and being loud. So you want to be careful before church is starting. If you're in the building, kind of tone it down because people will be coming up front. A lot of them will go up front to the altar, kneel down, and get their hearts right with God. So anyway, just be sensitive to that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of walk through some of your ministries so that you can understand how you're going to do your ministries, okay? So we're going to start with this afternoon. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, you are going to depart from here to go to your church ministry sites, okay? With the exception of the doctors who are going to go to City Hall to set up all for the doctors for getting set up for that. When you get to your churches, the first thing you're going to do is what? Greet people, shake hands, greet everyone who's there. Then you're going to organize into smaller groups, and we would like to have a blend in your smaller groups. So we're going to have like about 5 in each team, and you'll be led by the nationals. The nationals are the people from here, from Mexico. You'll be led by the Mexicans, your Mexican brothers and sisters, and they will go out with you. And this afternoon you are going to canvass the whole community where your church is at. You're going to give them a flyer telling them the activities you're going to be doing this week. So you'll be handing out a flyer that tells about the VBSs, about the church outreaches and all of that. Also, you'll be giving out a flyer about, in some places, about the medical team that's at the park, at the City Hall. And then also you're going to be giving them a Bible tract. Okay? So you'll be going out and doing that. And you'll be led by the Mexicans. Okay? So make sure you take with you, and a word of wisdom to the leaders, it's wise for you before you leave each day for you or somebody to be in charge of all the items you need for your ministries. So you don't get there and say, oh, where's the tracts that, oh, I thought you were bringing them, and oh, I thought you had them. And anyway, if you can just make sure you have all those things, your Bibles and all those things. So this afternoon's main goal is to invite the people to all of the activities you're going to be doing this week. So you'll be handing out flyers and a Bible tract. You won't be handing out Bibles this afternoon. You'll be doing that midweek when you go into the communities evangelizing and stuff like that. If a Bible doesn't have a home, you give it to them. Okay, so that's the community outreach this afternoon, the invitation. Okay, then we'll roll into your church outreaches this evening. So after you've done the community blitz, you'll come back to your church, not back here, to your church, and you will get ready for the church outreach, community church outreach, okay? Once again, be generous, greet people, sit to the back of the church if you would, because if seating is a premium, you'll want to give it up because you won't be using it much anyway, but you want to defer your seating for visitors and other people. So sit at the back of the church. The church service will begin with a singing. The church will do that. Then after that, they will invite one of our family members to come up, and we will invite you to come up. All of you will come up front, and you'll make a nice row up in front, just spread out where they can see you. Taller people in the back if there's not enough space. And then we'll need a word from the leader, a word of greeting from your leader that just says, we're glad to be here, we've been praying for you guys, we're looking forward to the week, whatever, but just a word of greeting, just a short word of greeting. And then after that, your team will do a singing time, okay, preferably in Spanish, although if you want to do an English song you can, but preferably in Spanish so they can understand that. And then we'll have some testimonies. And for the adult, it's kind of at this point everyone will be in the service. The first half, everyone is in the church service. So I have a couple testimonies. And if you can, when you're doing your testimonies to the adults, try to do it to a general audience if you can. If it's to children, if you can, try to share something that happened with them when you were a child, if possible. That just puts you on the same level. And we'll talk about your testimonies more, but anyway, that's just a piece of information for now. And then after that, there will be an offering. Now, what kind of Christians are you this week? Mary Poppins Christian, practically perfect. So, if you can put something in the offering plate, just a token, $1, just something, just because you want to be a good example, because a good Christian tithes, right? Good Christian gives, right? So, you guys are perfect Christians. You're setting the example. Understand, really, biblically defined, what is leadership biblically? You'll find it, whether it be in Christ, whether it be in Paul, the apostles, it is being an example. You are showing by your example what the Christian life is. Okay, it's your example. Okay, so then after that, then we will dismiss you guys for your VBSs. Okay, and then the majority of you can leave for that, and then the rest, if you want, can stay in with the general church. And we'll show either a evangelistic movie or someone will preach, and I'll just throw it out now. If anybody from your guys' teams would like to preach tonight, who's pretty good speaker, if you want to do that, let us know, and we'll talk about that. So let me know afterwards if you have somebody that wants to preach. Otherwise, we'll do evangelistic movie. Okay, so that is the church outreach. Then after the church outreach, after church is done, then you guys will eat at your churches. You will eat there. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a bit here. Okay, so that's the church outreach this evening. So this is today. So now we're at today. Now we're going to jump to tomorrow. Okay, this is Monday through Thursday, generally midweek. This is the home visitation guidelines. In the mornings, about half of your teams, once again, leaders, a nice blend if possible. We'd like to see some guys, some girls, and if possible, an adult, teens, students, guys, girls, adults, guys, girls. Kind of a nice blend if possible. Especially some different sexes. We don't just want one sex going out. We want it blended with guys and gals. Okay? So you will be led by someone from your church. Now you might not understand everything that's being said. Just follow along with them. Once again, you don't realize, and the thing that I always struggle in trying to help mission teams understand is the impact they have, even though they don't speak a lot of Spanish. It's your presence. Your presence tells the people, oh, we have people here we can trust. We have people here that we know are going to tell us the truth. Okay? They don't always know that from their own, and I should mention, the fastest growing religion in Mexico and in this valley are the Jehovah's Witnesses, because they're going door to door faithfully. So anyway, it tells them that, okay, we have trustworthy people here that are going to tell us the truth. So even though you're not maybe dominating the conversation, it's your presence that is adding a lot to the time. Obviously, be courteous. Be sensitive about taking pictures. We'll talk more about pictures in a moment, but don't show up in people's homes before you meet them taking pictures. That's offensive, because why are you taking pictures of my prop? I don't even know who you are. So just be sensitive to pictures in that sense. Remember, everyone prays at the same time, so especially when you're praying for somebody, you just go ahead and pray in English, whatever your language is, pray in that, and then whoever's leading the prayer will pray in Spanish. Okay? Just try to imitate what the leader is doing. If a home doesn't have a Bible, you will give the home a Bible. Okay, so you'll want to take Bibles with you. So the home visitation, you'll take Bibles and tracts with you. Okay? If the home doesn't have a Bible, then you will give that home a Bible. Okay, once again, don't enter onto someone's property without being invited. In the U.S. and Canada, normally we don't have fences outside our homes. People just walk up to our door and knock. But down here, everyone has fences. To go onto someone's property is technically illegal. So don't just walk on someone's property. Stand outside the gate, and then when you're invited in, you can go in. Okay, that was the home prayer guideline. Okay, here's the VBS guidelines. This is a general guideline. I know Lyle's group's going to mix things up a little bit, but this is a general one. I'll just kind of walk through it. Anyway, the VBS starts with the playtime, with the exception of Sunday night, tonight, and Wednesday night. There's no playtime because it fits within the preaching time or the movie time of the church outreach. So it's a shorter hybrid version of the VBS. So there's no playtime, and we cut virtually all the songs out except maybe one or two. Okay? So, but we're going to talk about the full-blown VBSs, your Monday through Thursday. So you'll have a playtime. That's a chance to warm up to the kids, get to know the kids, but just be careful you don't swing the kids and damage them. Like sometimes they want helicopter rides, so they want you to swing them around, and that's great for the kid being swung, but here comes a 3-year-old little girl walking by and she gets knocked into the next lot. She's crying, and we don't want to do that. Also be careful with camel rides. They'll want to get on your backs. They will wear you out if you let them, but they'll want to get on your back, do all these rides. It's all right to do that. Just avoid races and stuff like that. Maybe you might fit through a door fine, but the child doesn't go through the door right. And unfortunately, unlike a cartoon, they just don't bounce up and ready to go again. Okay? So that's your play times. Make sure you keep track of your play equipment. Understand, the playtime has a purpose. It's to draw a crowd and warm up to the kids. Okay? But keep track of your play equipment or it will run off. These kids ain't saints yet. All right? Then after the playtime, you'll move indoors, have a couple songs, probably about 4 or 5 songs. Usually start more upbeat, then go a little bit slower. Do the song time, then a puppet show, and then testimonies. Once again, when you're doing a testimony to the children, try to use something that from your childhood. Also, if possible, write out your testimonies, because you might get up in front of people and you've never done your testimony, or you forget what you're going to say, you get stage fright, or you've never spoken through a translator before and that's throwing you off. So it's really good to write out your testimony. You know exactly what you're going to say. We don't want long testimonies, 3 or 5 minute max. A short, brief talk, a testimony about how God has done something significant in your life, either salvation or some significant thing He has done in your life. And to the children, if you can do something when they were a child to that age, that would be ideal. Okay? So, after that, then we'll have verse memorization time, okay, where the kids can learn verses. At the end of the week, we'll give them prizes for the children that can say verses. We'll give prizes all the way from 1 verse all the way up to all of their verses, 5 verses. So, we'll work hard to try to teach the kids to memorize their verses. Okay? Moving on here, we're still in our VBS. Then we'll come to the Bible story time. Now, it might be a drama, it might be you guys will be doing. I think Lyle might be doing dramas and stuff like that. The others will be doing a Bible story. Anyway, there's some key things that you guys need to really listen to. And I told it to the last group, but bless their hearts, they fell short in this area and we had some problems. There's always a challenge in the VBSs in that the children think you are the next best thing to sliced bread or peanut butter or whatever. You are just awesome, okay? And here they are in your lap, sitting with nobility, and they just think that you are extra special. And all that's happening up front is happening in Spanish, and you probably aren't going to understand what's happening up here. But hey, you've got this little child on your lap that thinks you're wonderful, and so it's easy for the mission team to add to the chaos. And so there's extra chaos, and the children aren't engaged in what's happening up front. Now, we have worked really hard to come up with a very attractive VBS package that clearly shares the gospel in many different formats. And at the end of the week, we're going to give an altar call, and you will see many children come forward to receive Christ. Okay? So this week, please don't add to the chaos. Help keep the children's attention focused up front. So I've got to teach you a phrase that usually takes about a half hour, normally, with larger teams a little bit longer, but I've got to teach you how to tell your children to please be quiet and pay attention to what's happening up front. You ready? Here we go. Por favor, presta atención a lo que está sucediendo enfrente. Okay, you guys ready? Now there's another way that we can do it. I don't know which way would be easier for you. We can either teach you the Spanish, or another way is like this. Which way would you guys want to do this way? Okay, so just do this, okay? And once again, please don't add to the chaos. And some of you might not be seated with the children. You might be standing to the back. Two pleases for you. Please don't be engaged among yourselves at the back, adding to the chaos, or please don't be outside playing with children outside that might arrive late. If some of you want to be outside, that's awesome. We think that would be really good. But your job is to get the kids inside to pay attention to what's happening up front. Okay? So that's all it coordinated to help the children really hear what God has for them this week. Bless your hearts. You're going to be here for a week. Hopefully God is going to be with them for their lives in eternity. So, okay. So then we'll come to the craft and snack time. Sometimes we do that a little bit differently, but most of the time during the craft time, we have the kids form groups of 10. Okay, just groups of 10, and then you get with them, 2 or 3 of you with each group, and we have some handing out the crafts to the groups, and then from up front, sometimes we explain what's happening. The snack time, depending on the size of the VBS, one of our family members will kind of make that decision. Sometimes we'll just make a line, a single file, and hand it out to them as they go out. Anyway, they'll let you know what we're going to do in that area. Once again, understand a low level of chaos is okay. Just please don't add to it. Please don't add to it. Also understand when the kids form circles of like 10, a lot of times you have siblings that are watching their younger siblings. You'll have children that are 8 and 9 that are watching their younger children, so you can't divide up that family unit, so just be careful of that. So if some child just refuses to be singled out and go with you, then understand that child probably has a good reason, so don't make any child leave their group. All right, so that's the VBS. Now we're at the work time guidelines. Okay, help us keep track of all the tools. It's easy for tools to get lost. If we're doing, at the end of the work time, if you can help gather up the tools, we really appreciate that. If we're painting and stuff, help clean up stuff. And once again, just help us keep track and pick up the tools. Also, realize that your safety is very important. It might be that haven't had a chance to really do much construction or carpentry or block laying or digging, or you just haven't been exposed to that. So just try to do it in a way that's safe. I mean, be careful if you're swinging a pick, there's someone not behind you and you damage their head in a serious way. Just be careful. A lot of times there's rebar sticking up places. We had an older person fall on some rebar last year while you guys were here, and bless your doctors, they sewed him up. But just understand you're in a church/construction zone, and what's the agency that comes around and does all the inspections for safety? OSHA. They're not coming around. These places aren't following all these guidelines. These people are used to all this stuff laying around everywhere, rebar sticking up out of the ground, all this stuff. They're used to, by default looking down wherever they walk. Because we don't have to do that. We just kind of look out, and sometimes we're talking to people or looking out, enjoying the birds or whatever, and we're tripping over rebar and blocks and what have you. So just be careful on your work projects. Please be safe. Please be safe. Okay. Your Bibles and tracts, once again, I mentioned this a little bit, but give a tract to each home for the invitation time in our community blitz this afternoon. But keep track of your Bibles and your tracts. So when you get back from your ministries, don't just set your stuff wherever is handy. In fact, I would suggest that you have some leaders who are responsible to gather up the tracts that haven't been handed out, stuff that hasn't been handed out. Keep track of them and just don't leave them laying, because it will be taken away. Understand this week, everything is valuable, and everybody will just take stuff. It's just their default setting. They just take stuff that's laying around. All right? So keep track of it, or midweek you'll be out of Bibles and tracts because they've just disappeared. Just understand that. All right? And any Bibles and tracts that are left over that you don't use, then we will use in our ministry, because we always have pastors that are stopping by asking for Bibles and tracts. We just sent 4 cases of Bible with the pastors going down south to Oaxaca to do evangelism. So we're just always giving out Bibles and tracts. So whatever you don't use, then we'll give out down here to the pastors and leaders at the churches from here. Okay, so that's the Bibles and tracts guidelines. Pictures and video, we talked a little bit about this. We just want to encourage you to avoid the paparazzi syndrome. So let's say tonight during your VBS, your puppets are going up front, but a lot of you are back taking pictures and all that. You know, some of you can, that's okay. Just be careful that it's not overbearing, so that the idea is, oh, it's all about you. We're just kind of a sideshow, and really it's about you guys. So just be careful about that. Also, as we mentioned, be careful with people in their homes. The general rule is after you've met somebody, you can take a picture, but just don't show up with cameras flashing on people's homes and stuff like that. Just be careful during the outreaches that you're taking pictures in a sensitive manner, so it's not drawing undue attention upon you instead of what's happening. So that's a little bit about the pictures and video. Also, I should mention, some of you will be taking video this week, pictures. In our ministry, you probably maybe have seen on the website, we have a lot of videos. In fact, that helps a lot of teams have more confidence and understand what our ministry is about. In fact, I think Kyle and Drew and some of you guys, it was some of the videos on the website that helped them to maybe consider our ministry. So anyway, if you take some video this week that you think is really good, or if some of you have some testimonies you want to share or whatever that you're willing to put on the website, or any of you leaders want to share anything that we can put on the website to help future leaders or future people have a better understanding or be inspired to come down, then you're welcome to do that. One of the areas where we get little video is actually in the homes praying for people. So if you're in that area, after you've met all them, and maybe one of you would feel okay about stepping back and then taking some video, that's okay. But like I say, afterwards, if you guys want to share some of that with us, let us know, because we're always looking for good quality video. Okay, so that's pictures and video guidelines. Eating meals at your church. You guys excited about eating authentic Mexican food? All right. All right. Well, this week, you are going to be eating delicious, awesome prepped food, but just a couple pointers. Understand that your meal cost not only covers your cost, but it also covers the cost of all those who will be serving with you. Okay, also covers all the paper plates, all the drinks and everything. So we try to keep it as low as we can, but at the same time, enough so that there's enough to go around. So if you would be so kind as to avoid food eating competitions. Okay, like I had 5 burritos. Oh yeah, I bet I can eat more than that. And so they're just not prepped for this massive consuming of food. Okay, so eat till you're full, please do. Enjoy your meal. Like I say, eat heartily, but just avoid the food eating competitions. Also understand that in their eyes, that food is very precious, and if you don't eat it, they will take it home and eat it, or if it's off your plate, they will take it home and give it to their chickens or their animals. Okay, so they don't want to see any food going in the trash cans. So where you can help out in this area is if maybe you're not going to eat all of your food and it's untouched, if you want to, and your person next to you wants to have some, maybe you can share with that. Or a lot of times what they'll do is if you want more food, they'll bring you an entire plate of food. But you don't want an entire plate. You just wanted one more tamale or one more of this or taco or whatever. So what you can maybe do is among your friends say, okay, I'd like a couple, and just ask for just one more plate and then share that among you. Anyway, just try to be sensitive to any leftover food that your friends aren't eating that you would like that's untouched and you're okay with. Or asking for stuff. Don't ask for a lot more than what you can eat. Just understand in their eyes the food's precious. They're not going to let it go to waste. Also, if throughout the week, if you have some stomach problems, because this is authentic Mexican food and your stomach might not be used to it, the churches have been prepped as far as cleanliness, but just understand sometimes your stomach reacts. If it does, God has made our bodies miraculously, wonderfully. Just shut off the intake and let your body do its wonderful work, clean itself out, and when you're feeling okay, just go back online. But anyway, and we have doctors here, and I know our doctors are so generous and so kind, and I know that if anyone from Canyon Ridge has an issue medically, that the doctors will be more than happy to attend you guys. So there's doctors in the house this week. Okay, so that's eating meals at your churches, okay? We're winding down. You guys have done wonderful. We're almost done. This week, be a learner. Be a learner this week. God is not asking you to give up your full culture. He's just asking you to take on part of the culture here. So if you can do this week, if you can lose 75% of your culture, and if you can grab 75% of this culture, you will be what we called missiologically a 150% person. Okay, so if you can do that, that's your goal this week. Understand that who you are this week is more important than what you do. Who you are is more important than what you do. Your good attitudes, your examples. So we're going to work hard. We're going to serve hard. All of those things. We're not just going to be in Chaosville and just be lazy and all that. We're going to work hard. But we need to understand that at the end of the week, more is what we have done spiritually and how we've helped them out. The facilities are awesome. They're so grateful. The facilities are going to help them to better reach their community for Christ. So those are extremely important. But all that we do, just understand we do it with a good attitude as servants of Christ. And as we mentioned, you will be viewed higher this week and more spiritual than how you view yourselves. So you all wanted to be perfect Christians, right? Isn't that your goal? Well, you have been granted that. But just understand, with great privilege comes great responsibility. Okay? Okay, a couple general tips for the week. Take water for the day. Stay hydrated this week. Take water for the day. You can take coolers, your water jugs to fill up. Be careful with the plastic water jugs. They break easily. Take plenty of water. Take your water bottles and stay hydrated this week. Take toilet paper with you just in case your bathrooms do not have toilet paper. Don't leave things laying out. Don't leave your cameras laying out. Don't leave your purses laying out. Don't leave your valuables laying out. Don't leave them laying out, because you're going to be in an environment where you're going to have a lot of non-church kids, a lot of children running about like ants, and they ain't saints yet, right? So you be careful, because if not, you will lose a lot of your valuable possessions. And I tell you this because it's a regular problem that we have with teams. So just understand that things that you leave out could run off. So be careful about that. Also, you guys all know what typhoid on a stick is. You guys all know what that is? Okay, well, typhoid on a stick is this week, everyone is going to try to sell you something because you're wealthy. So they're going to come by a lot of times with a little dairy cart, and they're going to have dairy products in that cart, and they're going to try to sell you something. If that product is not in a recognizable, wrapped, manufactured packaging, then you are taking a risk. There's one thing that they sell a lot of down here that's called a Bolise. It's kind of in a Ziploc bag. It's about so long. It's basically frozen Kool-Aid. And so they sell a lot of those. But if you buy that, we don't know. They're homemade, by the way, so we don't know exactly how they were manufactured, if they used purified water, if they used just tap. We don't know these things. So unless you want to roll the dice, then don't buy things and eat that are not in recognizable wrapped containers. Going to be a lot of dogs in the community. You dog lovers, bless your hearts, but your job this week is not to save every dog down here, nor to provide food for that dog for its entire lifespan. So I'm just sorry to say, but but that's just reality. Let me say something about Mexico that you need to understand. Mexico is a hard country. It's a survival of the fittest. It's harsh. Okay, just understand you're in that environment. It's a survival of the fittest. You ever seen the old Western movie called Conager? Old Western movie. This Western guy is in a gunfight, shoots his buddy, or shoots a guy who gut shoots him. He goes out and gets him, brings him on, throws him in on his kitchen table, lays the guy there, and he's helping out this guy that he's just gut shot, right? Conager, noble guy. And the guy that he gut shot says to him, Conager, he says, "You're a hard man." And Conager says to him, "Son, it's a hard country." So anyway, just understand it's a hard country. So you're going to see a lot of things that are just maybe you're not used to seeing. Don't turn your eyes away. Understand this is normal. Not everyone, once again, gets to live in Disneyland, so this is normal. Take it in. Let your heart embrace it. It's just reality. It's just a reality of life, okay? So also, a lot of people are going to be trying to sell you things, which is fine. They'll set up booths outside your churches to sell you blankets, purses, whatever. A lot of indigenous wares. You're welcome to buy those. God bless you. Buy them if you like. Just do it at the appropriate times. Don't do it during like your VBSs or when you're supposed to be doing something else. Do it during your breaks. Also, this week, you're in a very, very safe environment. The communities are very safe. There's not a problem with safety. However, we would suggest to you, don't go anywhere alone. Okay, why? You could get lost. The community's not big, but you could get disoriented. You could have a health problem and fall down. We don't know, so it's good to always do a buddy system. Go places in at least 2 people. And you have our full blessing to go where you like, but you might want to check with your leaders. They're the ones who have the last word. Where you go, things like that. Also, ladies, don't go anywhere just as a group of ladies, especially you younger ladies, okay? Or you will be viewed as available and out scouting, okay? Which brings me to this reality. If you are a young lady, you are, in the Mexicans' eyes, extremely desirable, okay? And very attractive and a high prize to get. So ladies, you need to be biblically, like it says in 1 John. You need to treat your brothers in the Lord down here and people down here as your brothers. Please, no flirting. I'm not saying the girls are just flirting, but guys, you can go into groups alone, but obviously you're not going to flirt. This week, please, no flirting. That's one of the problems sometimes that pastors have a problem with. So please, no flirting, and you guys know where the line is. Okay, you guys are no better than I do. I'm kind of removed from that. I flirt with my wife, but no one else. So anyway, okay, we're almost done. One couple last words. The ocean, it's beautiful. Please enjoy it this week. If you want to go to the ocean, you're going to go down. You'll have 2 fences on your on each side of you. Go down for about a mile, and then when the fence on your left ends, take a right. There's a gate there. And if you look to the right, you will see the property the Lord has blessed us with. It's His property. There's a red gazebo there. There's an outhouse there. There's steps going down to the beach there. So anyway, there's no keys to get down there, but just open the gates and close them after you if you would. The old ranch style type. And Lyle, he's an old rancher here, so he knows all about that stuff. So anyway, keep the gates closed after you. Please don't go out too far. We had a person almost drowned a number of years ago, so just be careful about those things and keep an eye on one another. Okay, lastly, your departure times. Today, you are going to be leaving at 2 o'clock. If you have a tendency to be late, then we're going to tell you that you're leaving at 1:45. So you just tell us what time, but we need to have you, driving out, kind of in your vehicles, headed out at 2. Not thinking about it, but actually, and make sure you have all of your stuff. So that will put you at your church, and then you'll greet them. And then Monday through Thursday, we'll be departing here at 8:30 in the morning. Okay?